TGIF, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Welcome into Undisputed. I'm Jen Hale here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Guys, this first round action is crazy in the NBA playoffs. How are you this morning?
No lead is safe.
Shannon Sharp, between my guys KD and Ja, they are going to put me in an early grave. Of course, your guy is tweeting instead of playing. And you know what? I'm going to give you this. LeBron James is the GOAT of tweeting. I give you that. He's the GOAT of tweeting.
The only difference between KD and Ja, Ja got some teammates. They go really deep. KD, unfortunately, only has Kyrie.
Well, that should be enough, shouldn't it?
No.
The most dynamic duo ever.
But not against a team.
Says Shannon Sharp.
Oh, no, I'm the only one that said it. What about what you said?
Well, I went along for the ride, unfortunately.
Oh, you just going along for the ride now.
Guys, that game you were referring to with Ja was absolutely incredible last night. Talk about a comeback. The Grizzlies rallied from a 26-point deficit to beat the T-Wolves 104-95. Ja Morant dropped a triple-double, 16 points, 10 boards, 10 dimes. Afterwards, he said, "We all know the game is never over until there are zeros on the clock." So true, right? Shannon, on a scale of 1 to 10, how impressive was this comeback?
Skip, I go back and forth with this because, you know, anytime you get a big lead like that and you're able to whittle it down and you come back and win the ball game, the opposing team, the team that you came back against, did some dumb and terrible things. But I'm going to give them an 8 for the simple fact they had to win the game twice. You get down by 26, Skip, in the first half, you whittle it down to 7. Minnesota races out again to get this big lead. I think with like 30 seconds left in the third quarter, Skip, they're up 21. And then you lose by 9? In the first and third quarter, you score 71 points. In the second and fourth quarter, you score 24 points. What?
12 and 12.
What?
12 and 12?
12 and 12. Come on.
What? You lose the fourth quarter 37-12?
12 and 12.
At home?
At home. And the crowd is going crazy. But, and as Jen mentioned in the read, Skip, Ja had a triple-double, but it was one of those little Westbrook triple-doubles. 5 of 18. He had the 10 assists, but going over to that next stat line, Skip, what that other one say you? 7 turnovers.
Westbrookian.
So he didn't play his best game, but somehow they still found a way to come back from being down 26 in the first half and again by 25 in the third quarter and win by 9 because they're a deep team. They're not dependent on their only superstar in Ja because Ja, we've seen, they go 20-5 without Ja being on the court. So it lets you know they're a deep team. They get Clark, comes off the bench, gives you 20. What did he get? 31, 41 points from their bench. So I'm going to give it an 8 because when you have to win the game, normally you don't have to win the game multiple times, Skip, within the course of a game. That Rockets crowd, and they're a young team. A team like Golden State coming back, I ain't got no problem with that because their core group, Skip, has been there, done that. Got no problem with them doing that.
Yep.
Some of these other teams, Milwaukee, if they were to do that, they've been there, done that. This team, these young guys, Ja, Dylan Brooks, Kyle Anderson, Jaren Jackson. Kyle Anderson did play with the Spurs, so he's been in some games. But their core guys are really...
Steven Adams has been in some games.
They don't even play him anymore.
He just got benched and DNP'd.
Yes!
He went from helping them lead the league in rebounding. They led it because in biggest part of him with 10 a game.
Yes.
And last night, Taylor Jenkins says, no, not only is he out of the starting lineup, he's out of the game. What?
Hey, Quinn Snyder, you see what they did in Memphis? You might have to sit Rudy Gobert. That's another story, Skip. But win the game twice. Down by 26, down by 25, late in the third quarter, 30 seconds left in the third. You're down 21 points. And all of a sudden, they take off on this massive run. But Minnesota, y'all should be ashamed of yourself. Karl Anthony Towns, can you stop running over people? I think the thing is, Skip, because they're playing in with smaller people. He's getting so excited, Skip. Half of his fouls, he had, 5 and 5? Skip, 5 of his 10 fouls are offensive because he's so excited. And Minnesota, you're falling into this trap. You keep taking these bad shots and all this, and you get the lead. And so instead of playing through Karl Anthony Towns and letting him get some touches, you keep jacking up bad shots, and they whittle you down. And now Karl Anthony Towns can't find a rhythm, and he's on the bench. Yeah, he had 32 minutes. Skip, the man had 4 shot attempts. 4 shot attempts for Karl Anthony Towns, who was an all-star, who's an all-NBA player, and he can only get 4 attempts? So I'm going to give Memphis some credit because they could have easily panicked being on the road, Skip, at a playoff game with this young nucleus, but they hung together. But Minnesota, somebody need to put puss in them You can't have a 20-plus point lead twice at different points of the ball game and lose that game on your home court by 9 points. That should never happen.
Are you finished?
I'm finished.
It is now my turn and my floor, and I'm going to stomp all over my floor because I am steamed about what I saw last night from my Memphis Grizzlies.
That's what I'm talking about. How you
I picked the Grizzlies to win the West, and I am standing by it.
Okay.
But scale of 1 to 10, impressed scale of 1 to 10 on the comeback last night, I'll try to get up to a 4 because I am running hot about what I saw and did not see from my Memphis Grizzlies last night. Context, please. I have said that Ja Morant is on his way to becoming the face of the league. We had this discussion the other day, right? Yeah. Ja versus LaMelo. I said, I'm going Ja.
Okay.
And it's back and forth. I love LaMelo, but Ja. Okay, I love him.
Okay.
I believe in him. But I despise what I saw from him and them last night. Because you want to talk about ashamed? They are better than Minnesota. I will start with your man, K.A.T., not your man, but the guy you just talked about, Karl Anthony Towns. He's a fake tough guy who tries to dredge up some kind of toughness. He's got big talent, low intangibles. I can do the Pat Bev down on the floor intangibles because they run mostly cold. He tries to dredge them up, but when you most count on him, when you need him the most, he's not going to be there for you. And it didn't surprise me at all what happened last night because they go small and he's like, what do I do? How do I just turn it on? He doesn't know how to turn it on. And then he turned it off after the game. What was his line about?
You gonna have some wine?
I'm going to go home and get some wine. I got it here somewhere. Where's Karl Anthony's thing? Yeah, I'll find it in a second. But he finally just gave, I'm going to go home, drink some wine, move on to the next day. That's what he's made of. Thank you very much. Drive home safely. Okay. And the other guys, we've talked about D'Angelo Russell. He showed low intangibles when he was with the Lakers. We know the incident off the court. You just can't count on him when it's time to make the shot to turn the momentum in the game, right? And young Ant-Man, I love his ability. I love his explosiveness, but he's not a consistent enough shooter to bedevil you in the biggest moments. His shooting runs hot. He can run hot for a little bit, and then he'll run cold for stretches. Okay, so I don't think he scares anybody except on his explosive athleticism, right? So those three, in the end, they came up too small at home. But the team that came up even smaller right out of the blocks was the Memphis Grizzlies that I picked to win the West. You can't come back from romping and stomping at home in game 2, and we all sat back and said, there they are, that's the team, right?
Right, yes.
And what did we see from Ja after the game to our man Chris Haynes on TNT? I think, or maybe it was on NBA TV, I think, that night. But let's just remind everybody, what did Ja say right after game 2, please?
There was a lot of people that picked us to, go to the Western Conference Finals. A lot of people that said we were going to make the finals. After we lost game 1, they switched up. So tell them to stay on that side they was on. We don't want them over here no more.
You still about that smoke?
All the smoke. All the smoke.
Okay. He's a young man. Still very young man. He was celebrating. He was not just trash talking. He was brash talking like they had just sealed the deal, like the 7-game series had ended. And you know and I know it was just getting started.
It's 1-1.
It's 1-1, and you are going to mini. Good luck up in Minnesota. And they come out like the series is over, and they fall behind 12-0. And then here we go, to your point. I think, are they gonna play now? They're gonna play? No, they fall behind by 26. What? You can't do that. And then they finally say, well, maybe we better start now. And they cut it back down to 7 at halftime. And I tweeted at halftime, this isn't enough. You can't say, rest on your laurels. I'm just paraphrasing my tweet. But it's like, are we there yet? No, you're not there yet because you are in their place, and they're going to come right back out in quarter 3 just like they did in quarter 1. And what happened? They come out, and Minnesota goes on a 21-8 run to start the 3rd. And I sat back and said, game over. You're down 2-1. And I'm starting not to love your chances to get out of the first round. If they lose this game last night the way they should have in several big moments, can they come back from 2 games to 1 down? Is it very possible they'd lose game 3 and fall behind 3 games to 1? Okay. But they didn't. They roared back at the expense of Minnesota because I don't believe in Minnesota, but I didn't from the start. I thought they could win this in 5 games and just roll on into the second round. And instead, it took this to come back. But now, to the punchline of this, like the punch in the stomach line for me. Would you believe that my Memphis Grizzlies won the fourth quarter 37-12 in spite of Ja Morant? In spite of.
Yeah.
He did just about everything in his power to blow the game in the fourth quarter, and they still won the fourth quarter 37-12. In the fourth quarter, Ja did score 5 points, but he was 2 of 8. He missed his lone 3, and he went 1 of 4 from the free throw line with 3 more turnovers.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate to you what was ripping my guts out as I sat in my chair and was ready to roll on the floor. Ja, you can't do this, and you can't do that, and you definitely can't do that if this team is going to go on and do what I think it's capable of, which is winning the West. If we could